When 343 surprise dropped Halo Infinite, I ran so fast to download it, I'm pretty sure I broke the sound barrier. For the last 74 days, I've played this thing like a complete degenerate. I burned through my dailies, smashed my weeklies, and I finally got that sweet, sweet flaming armor effect at the very end, level 100 of the Season 1 Heroes of Reach Battle Pass. So now feels like a great time to review Season 1. What did it do right? What did it do wrong? And what can they improve for Season 2? Now, I know there's still like 3 months left in Season 1 because they extended it, but if anything major changes, I'll just make another video. Just a heads up, some of this gameplay looks really weird because theater mode is kind of broken, so if you see any jittery or like I'm shooting my teammates, that's what it is. First things first, I think Halo Infinite is a really, really fun multiplayer game. I wouldn't have spent 70-something hours of playtime and over 500 matches if I wasn't having fun with it. This is the first time since high school that I've really liked a multiplayer game enough to play it by myself. And it's become a ritual to me. I mean, I dive in for a few matches pretty much every morning before I hop on with the squad in the afternoon. Every now and then it hits me. Halo Infinite is a free-to-play multiplayer game. I'm putting all this time into a game that someone can spend $0 to get into. Usually that comes with some concessions, right? Some free-to-play games just aren't as good as the paid ones because they're free. But not Halo Infinite's multiplayer. The bones of this game are so good, and it's shocking. The guns, the maps, the movement, the equipment, the power weapons, everything that makes up this multiplayer sandbox is pretty much firing on all cylinders, and that is what keeps me playing. But of course, it's not perfect. I mean, I love this, but it's not without its issues. In the first few weeks, the mini-map felt way too small to me. It felt like I was missing guys that were right next to me that I definitely should have seen, but didn't because the radius of this thing is so tiny. Now that I know the maps and understand how spawns work, if I miss somebody, it just feels like my fault. But it's something that new players definitely have to adjust to. Grenade spam also gets to me. With better positioning and situational awareness, you can play around this. For example, don't stand in crowded hallways, but my God, sometimes it feels like I lose 1v1s just because the other guy picked up extra grenades. And then there's melee collision. This doesn't affect everyone, but I couldn't tell you how many times I've heard my friends say, "How did I miss that guy?" Maybe we all suck at meleeing, or maybe it's because there's no player collision. A lot of the time, I lunge straight through a guy or around them, and it's because I'm not contacting them physically, so I can miss them. It's a problem that I know probably can't be fixed, but man, I feel like I'd win more 1v1s if the game had collision. And there it is, my only 3 gripes with the gameplay in Halo's multiplayer. The minimap and grenades feel like they can be addressed, but hey, probably not. They're kind of tiny and definitely more of an opinion thing. I know the collision thing probably won't change because that seems like a foundational thing that isn't possible, but the reality for me is these 3 things could never be fixed and I'd still have a great time playing this game. I mean, that's how much I like it. What I've really enjoyed is the learning curve. Over time, I feel like I've gotten way better, and looking at Halo Tracker, I definitely have. That's such a satisfying feeling that, again, I don't think I've gotten from a multiplayer game since Modern Warfare 3 or Overwatch, probably Overwatch. Speaking of Halo Tracker, I really hope 343 adds an endgame stat tracking system or menu. It just feels weird to not be able to look at that stuff. Now it's time to talk about challenges. And this is such a spicy topic, so strap in because it's pretty lengthy. In case you're out of the loop, Halo Infinite has no base progression. And that means all progression is linked to the Battle Pass only. Like a lot of Battle Passes out there, there's still some free stuff, but you're missing out on a lot if you don't pay the $10 for it. And the only way to get Battle Pass progression is to complete challenges. You've got daily challenges that give you pretty decent XP, but you're really not going to progress through this Battle Pass unless you pay attention to the weekly challenges and try to complete those. Here's the thing. I don't mind this challenge system. At first, it was a bit of a gut punch, but as I played more, I realized I don't care how I'm playing this game, I'm just enjoying it. It feels like a symptom of modern multiplayer games that rely on time-sensitive objectives instead of just sticking to a base progression. And I don't know that it's any better because of that. In fact, this could be the result of some lizard brain psychology theory saying that multiplayer games with challenge-based progression are more addicting than others. I realize that, but either way, I can't say that this progression hurts my experience. However, it definitely changes the way that I play. On the plus side, I know for a fact that I queue for more playlists than I would have otherwise. In the beginning, there was only quick play, big team, and ranked, and that felt like just not enough types of playlists. Pretty quickly, we got a lot more, so now that there's a variety of options and a lot of the challenges are designed around getting you to experience different game modes, I kind of like it. You know, the game steers me to play things that I wouldn't have otherwise. It would suck if the modes themselves sucked, but I really don't hate any playlist in Halo Infinite. I'll play them all. But on the minus side, it changes how I play within those game modes. If I have a challenge to backslap 3 enemies in attrition, that makes me play a very hyper-specific way. I'm crouching around corners. I'm trying my best to get those backslaps. Because again, I suck at melee. It's legitimately hard for me. If there's one thing I'd love to see for Season 2, it's less specific challenges. It's always nice to see something like get 30 assault rifle kills, because I know that's possible. On the flip side, it sucks to get a kill the ball carrier in oddball challenge, or save an enemy from really far away, because those are such hyper-specific scenarios that they end up being way more frustrating to get than gratifying to work towards. There's a very sensible argument to be made that this entire challenge system makes multiplayer worse, because everyone is doing it. Everyone in every match is playing in a specific way to achieve specific challenges. I'm not sure that that's super healthy for gameplay. And that brings us to challenge swaps. There's these items that let you swap a challenge out for a completely new one if you don't like a challenge. So if you get something like revive 6 teammates in attrition, you can load that into a cannon and fire it into the sun and grab a new one that's hopefully a little more reasonable. Now, if we wanted to put on our tinfoil hats, we could say that 343 and Microsoft make awful challenges on purpose in order to sell challenge swaps, because you can buy these with real money. I can be as cynical as the next guy, but I'm not that cynical about this. I don't buy the idea that game devs are sitting around like the Grinch coming up with ways to completely screw their fan base. These games ride or die on their reputation, and if they were doing this so transparently to screw over the community, I think we're smart enough to know and recognize that, and we'd stop playing. Being free to play feels like the ultimate get out of jail free card sometimes, the golden goose excuse, but I just don't see this situation like that. But back to the point I was making, challenges and challenge swaps do change the way that I play. One of the first things my friends and I say when we get on to play is, all right, what challenges do you have? And then we see who has the most common challenge, and we play specific game modes for a few hours in order to finish all of our challenges. It's like 343 is steering everyone in a certain direction with each, weekly slate of challenges. And that's not how it used to be, and that's sometimes frustrating. But I can't say that it ruins my overall experience, right? I'm still enjoying myself. Right now, this is how I play. I queue for my challenges pretty much exclusively. Then when I'm done for the week, I play what I want. But there's another element to this that I think is a problem, and that's that there's no link between performance and experience. You can play really well, earn a lot of medals. Hell, you can get a killing frenzy for a 10 kill streak, and that doesn't give you more experience than if you went 0-12. You can go on this epic 10-game win streak with the lads over a few hours of wholesome gaming, and you will get no more experience than if you went 0-10. That's a problem, because that's such a big motivator for me. This is a competitive game, and being rewarded for how I play makes me want to continue to play and play better. But at the same time, I'm in this weird spot because I'm not going to stop playing if they never do this. The game is just fun in and of itself. Fortunately, they have hinted that they want performance-based progression to happen in the future, so I'm crossing my fingers. We won't, it's not over until the fat lady sings, basically. At the end of the day, I do think this is a preference thing, and I think there's arguments for how the system works now. For one, it might make the game less sweaty, since it's less about performance and more about just playing. A lot of multiplayer games these days use SBMM to tighten the curve and put everyone on an equal playing field. I don't know that it makes the game better. but who knows anymore, man? I mean, we've been playing with skill-based matchmaking in almost every single game for years at this point. So what's actually in the Battle Pass? What are you earning? You've got armor pieces, XP boosts, challenge swaps, and some social stuff. I like most of these rewards, especially the ones towards the end, which like have your helmet on fire or your arms on fire. I like most of them except for the banners and backgrounds. These never feel super satisfying to unlock. They're kind of like sprays in Call of Duty Warzone. It's like, I'm never gonna use this. The big thing missing for me is the currency used to buy the Battle Pass in the first place. This is something we kind of expect from a Battle Pass. You should be able to earn the currency to keep buying the Battle Pass so it pays for itself. Or at least have enough to buy something in the store every now and then. Apparently they're planning to add currency to the next Battle Pass. So that's good news, and again, I'll believe it when I see it. Speaking of, I haven't bought anything in the store yet. I'm not really someone who buys, cosmetic stuff, and I haven't wanted to because to me it's just more fun to earn stuff than to buy it. Halo Reach was really the height of progression, at least for me. I love moving through those levels, collecting armor pieces. It just felt like I earned everything. Infinite has some of that same energy, but they do this goofy armor core system thing. So far, you've got Mark 5, Mark 7, and the Yaroi, I think is how you say it, from the Fracture Tenrai event. Instead of letting you put every single piece of armor that you unlock on any core, they're locked to specific cores. So sometimes I'll unlock a set of gauntlets that I think look really cool, but I'm not allowed to put them on the armor set that I'm using because they belong to a different armor core. And that just feels like an unnecessary restriction. I don't get it. I like the idea of armor cores, but I don't know why we can't just have that as a mod slot option, and then we can mix and match everything with whichever armor core we want. And ideally, I'd like to have the ability to create an armor set and then save that. And then I've got that kind of saved in my armor set section in the armor hall, and I can swap them whenever I want. Moving on, let's talk about playlists and maps. For the most part, there's not a single map or mode I won't play, except for launch. My God, do I hate launch. The problem for me is that every other map in this game flows so well. It's the right size. I understand how spawns work. I know where everything is. And if it's slightly bigger, like Behemoth, for example, then it compensates for that by having really long lines of sight. The problem with launch is there's long stretches of every game where you don't see anyone. There are huge portions of the map that don't get used because of the spawns. It's got 2 hotspots where all of the fighting happens and then nothing in between. You'll spend a minute running around looking for people to fight, only to get sniped in the face. It feels like it was made for 6v6 before they decided to make Halo Infinite's arena mode 4v4. I'd bet money that each match that happens on launch lasts longer than the average match time. Thank goodness it's not in the ranked playlist, because that would be rough. Speaking of Big Team, when 343 launched the Halo campaign, it actually broke Big Team for a lot of people, including myself. Whenever I queued for the playlist, I wouldn't be able to connect. That problem trickled down to challenges, which meant anytime I had a BTB challenge, I'd have to swap it out because I flat out couldn't do it. As I'm recording this video though, Big Team works again. They fixed it, and that's great. But I worry about future updates that could break other modes. If that happens again and it's for a more prominent playlist, then I hope 343 can take the challenges from whatever playlist is broken out of the game until it's fixed. That seems pretty reasonable considering that issue broke another core part of the game. So yeah, they should definitely make that change. When I started writing this script, free-for-all was also broken for me. I'd play a match, and then the game would act like I never played it. I'd get no challenge progress, and it wouldn't even show up in my match history. It was as if I never did it. But they just released a hotfix today as I'm recording that completely solved the issue, which again is great because I think free-for-all plays really well in Halo Infinite. So the only technical issues I'm having right now are crashes. Every couple of days, it'll crash, like maybe every 5 hours of playtime on average. And I know how this works. Usually that stuff gets better over time. So aside from these problems, Halo Infinite is a really smooth game technically. I mean, especially when I've got it running on my 3080 Ti with a 144 hertz monitor just locked in. It's so smooth. So far, we've had a few events during Season 1. Fracture Tenrai, Winter Contingency, and Cyber Showdown. There's a new one called Tactical Ops that's coming in February. These have their own mini battle passes with unique rewards that you can only get while the event is active. And for the most part, I've really liked these. It's a smart way to keep multiplayer feeling new and fresh and exciting. The rewards you get from these feel completely unique from the Heroes of Reach battle pass. My only beef so far is with Fracture Tenrai because it only lets you unlock one reward per day. It feels a little ridiculous to limit progression like that. Instead, I think it should just give us like a limited set of challenges per week. And if we do all those challenges in the week, that's the number of progress that we get through the battle pass. I hope they definitely move away from that version of these battle passes because I definitely prefer the Winter Contingency and Cyber Showdown events progression. So now that I'm maxed out at Battle Pass level 100, what is it like to play Halo Infinite for me? I'm still enjoying myself because I'm getting, some progression from the ultimate challenge every week, so I'm still like working towards something outside of the battle pass. And the events are fun when they come around because those still give me new things to unlock. It's also just weird to me that the first season still has 90 something days to go. I mean, I know I definitely play more than the average person, but a 6-month-long season where you can finish the battle pass in 70 something days of playtime, that feels a little off. My hope is that 343 shortens Season 2 and makes progression a little quicker. That way, more people can max it out in less time. We've talked about a ton in this video, but here's some final thoughts on Halo Infinite's Season 1. I think it's been awesome. It's got some issues for sure, but for me, none of them are game-breaking enough to ruin my experience. I think the average person can hop in and have a really good time, and if they're not, they can move on because it's free anyways. It's the most fun I've had with a PvP game in years, thanks to the multiplayer sandbox. I also feel like the Battle Pass, even though you can't earn currency, is worth it if you plan to finish it, especially since they've extended it through May. There's tons of progression, and if you're not turned off by a challenge-based system, it's fun to work through. The events that come around every few weeks, they keep things fresh, and I'm always looking forward to the weekly challenge reset so I can dive in and do some more. If the first 70 days are any indication of how much I'll be playing Halo Infinite, then I expect to be playing this a lot, like well into 2022. And if they can address some of the weirdness with challenges and the armor system, Infinite's multiplayer could be entertaining for years to come. And that's about all I wanted to share about Halo Infinite's Season 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know some people aren't really liking it, so I'd love to hear your takes. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next one. Also hit the notification bell so you get live notifications every time I upload. Finally, if you're still listening, I've got my videos up on Spotify. Every single time I upload, they're also uploaded over there. So check out the link in the description below. It's great if you're traveling and you can't watch, but you still want to listen to the video. It's perfect for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.